We're at the final stage now of the Arena Racing Northern Flat, and I'm joined by the resident tipsters, Joe Keneally and Paul Lawrence. Gentlemen, it's been a great competition so far, going into the final. I thought before we look at the final in detail, it might be worth having a little look at the semi-finals. And if either of you fancy piping in with some comments, we'll get stuck in. So, gentlemen, first semi-final. Um, Looked like Power 1, Pinpoint Villa 2, etc., etc. You can see them all there. Paul, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Joe and I saw this first semi-final fairly similar in that looked like Power. I thought on the inside had a fantastic makeup, and Frankie's Jet was the dog that we thought could easily improve if he got the run. But it was Save Me Paddy that cleared immediately, and I thought that was going to be the tricky part, was clearing Pinpoint Villa. Well, he did that and some, and I'd actually had a few quid in him in the first round, and it got a bit messy, and he got picked up by Look Like Power, but none of that in this semi-final. I think he's really improved, and Gary Ferguson's got him going the right way, and certainly Save Me Paddy is a greyhound that I've really got a little bit of affinity for now, and I think he's improving fast.
So, Joe, moving on to the second semi-final and the one that all the interest was in, um, particularly obviously Ice on Fire in Trap 2 and Jaguar Macy in 3, but it didn't quite turn out as we were all expecting.
No, obviously, as you just said, all eyes were on Ice on Fire in 2 and Jaguar Macy in 3, and it was the well spoke about King Bruno who popped out and managed to get around the bend in front, and then it was a matter of catch me if you can for the rest. I think you watch Jaguar Macy, she hit a little bit of a flat spot for me, to be honest, out of the second bend. You know, Pacemaker Ted probably went past her fairly comfortably, and then she come back at Pacemaker Ted and just failed to qualify on the line. But again, take nothing away from King Bruno. You know, we spoke about the dog being in being seeded as a railer, and should he be? And to be honest, the draw in 4 looked perfect for him last week. He's done it really well off the front. You know, he's beat some really classy types there, and since that, you know, Ice on Fire's been retired again. So good luck to him in connections with Ice on Fire, and hopefully has a nice long retirement now. And yeah, obviously we missed the 2 big guns in the final, but take nothing away from King Bruno and Pacemaker Ted. They've both done it really well to qualify.
So, Paul, leave you with the third semi-final, and you might want to talk us through this one.
You know, odds on favourite, Track 1, Havana Class. I actually did dabble at the odds on as well. I just thought he was a real good thing here, made him a real short price, and obviously wanted Mingler's Popeye for the anti-post, and they ruined each other because Mingler's Popeye cut across and all sorts went on. Havana Class kind of got squashed, and then he obviously heard a commotion on the outside and had a glance across. Glenlara Mack on the outside was a little bit unlucky as well because he was looking to qualify, and it ended up being a bit of a boil over with Killia Phantom being left clear coming out the second turn. So all in all, quite unsatisfactory, but these things happened in greyhound racing, and it was left for 2 of the kind of fancy runners of Anna Class and Mingler's Popeye and Glenara Mack for that matter to get knocked out.
So, gentlemen, we end up with perhaps not the final any of us were expecting, which I will show on the screen. And just out of interest, we had a little bit of an anti-post discussion before the whole competition got underway. And I thought you'd be interested looking back to see how they all came out. So from the top, 25 to 1, 40 to 1, 66 to 1, 25 to 1, 10 to 1 and 66 to 1. So was anybody in for any of those? I can't remember.
I think I had a 1200 to 1 Pacemaker Ted with you. I've managed to lay him off at shorter prices now, so we're all good.
So go, Joe. How do you think the finals worked out, and who do you fancy?
It's wide open, you know. All the big guns missing out, and as you've just gone through there, Pacemaker Ted was the shortest price runner, anti-post, and I think he can make the most of a really nice draw here. And yeah, I'm going to go for 5 Pacemaker Ted. He's drawn between 2 stronger dogs in Look Like Power, who will be turning left as well from 4, and Calzaghe Edward in 6. it was done really well to reach the final. Credit to Connections for that. You know, he's an A1 dog, A2 dog, and to reach the final is a massive well done. I think 5 can come away, and I think he'll get first run on Save Me Paddy and King Bruno, who will take him along early, and I think they could spoil each other's races, and Pacemaker Ted can reel him in late on. He has got a ping in him as well, which he hasn't shown yet in his competition, and he can go up, to be fair to him. You know, he's a regular mid-50s sectionals at Newcastle, and you know, if he manages to produce a 4:55, which he done in a trial stakes, then you know he's going to be well up there early on. And yeah, I'm quite sweet on Pacemaker Ted here. I think Killy Phantom was a lucky winner last week, as we've seen, and he's going to need a bit of trouble in running and then everything to fall into place for him. So yeah, I'm quite sweet on Pacemaker Ted. I think he can reel in Save Me Paddy and King Bruno, who could spoil each other's race in this.
Paul, who do you think's the best placed and or best boxed, and who do you fancy to win it?
I think actually Joe's right. Pacemaker says probably is the best boxed dog, but I think the fastest dog here is Save Me Paddy. I think this dog is improving. I think Gary Ferguson, as I said earlier on, has got this dog improving at the right time, and there's no real bounds to the limit of his ability, really. Killia Phantom's going to have a big say in the outcome of Save Me Paddy's bid for the Northern Flat title, because he will be edging off a little bit, but he's not really been breaking that well. I think he's got a little bit of early. He's got nowhere near the earlier. I thought Save Me Paddy actually showed improved early pace. I think he's going the right way. King Bruno, we've had 2 looks at King Bruno, one from track 3 in the opening round, definitely moved off to lane 3.5 to 4. In track 4, he say fairly straight. So you know that he's going to show, again, good early. I was really impressed with him. He beat Pacemaker's Head, fair and square, in my opinion. Looks like Power, I think, has got a nightmare draw. I think he's underpriced at the current odds I've seen. He'll definitely move in at the start. So 3 and 4 could easily clash if Looks Like Power gets a break, because King Bruno isn't a natural trapper. I think Kilzaggy Edward would need a miracle to win this. So all things being equal, I'm quite sweet on Save Me Paddy here, and I think the 9 to 4 an offer is a reasonable bet.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see a couple of Scottish dogs in there. Obviously, after we've seen what Jaguar Macy has been doing, it's nice that the Scots lads can still participate, albeit they don't have a track north of the border. So, looking at the sprint final, 290 metres, what do you think, Paul?
I think it's actually quite competitive. This we actually said we thought it was probably going to be between Swift Garden and Gilo Gold Dust when we first analysed it at the heat stage. Matt's Malibu obviously is another greyhound that came into it, and I think those 3 probably would be the front 3 in the market. I was really impressed with the way Swift Guard went to the turn, although probably did just dab the brakes a little bit, but it's got a fair makeup here in the Freedom Reporter will probably stay in lane 2, so you're not really going to have too much pressure. Although I was impressed with Freedom Reporter's effort into the turn from 4 and got dragged back. Gilo Gold Dust, she continues to impress, and of course Sean Davies now taken over from Carl, and conceivably you'd think, well, there was no real negative from that switch. Could she improve again? She's certainly got quality. Matt's Malibu, I'm not too sure whether he wants to be perched out that wide, although he's going into the turn with eyes wide open. So all in all, I actually thought it was really tricky, and I just sided with Swift Guard on the draw, but with a little proviso that maybe Freedom Reporter could be a big price in the final.
Joe, do you think the fact that there are 4 middle seeds makes it more or less complex?
I don't think it's that much of an issue. You know, Freedom Reporter's been been unseeded, shall I say, in his graded races. So the racing office have obviously seen something that makes them think he's a railer. You know, they've run him out of track 1, so you can, I think he's probably well out in 2. I've seen it exactly the same as Paul. I fancy Swift Guard to turn the form with Gilo Goldust. You know, he was half a length behind last week, and I think he was half a length, and he missed the break half a length. To be fair, he gave her half a length start, and then he ripped into the corner, and she just managed to chop him off. Whether that was him just maybe edging or just putting the brakes on a little bit, I'm not too sure. I don't think Max Malibu shown a lot of early. To be fair, I think he come away okay, and he managed to chop the bend, but there was a lot of trouble. He didn't really show massive speed for me going into the corner. And I don't think he wants 6 either. I think he's probably better drawn middle, a better seeded middle. Corlovani Galli's shown plenty of pace, because I questioned him the week before he come away against Sonic JJ a few weeks back and got blown away to the corner. But he done it really well last week. And, you know, there's only a length and a half between the 4 main runners, shall we say, 1, 4, 5 and 6. I know Paul's put 2 up as well. That could run well at a price, but there's only a length and a half between the 4 main runners: Goldust, Galiv, Malibu, and Swift Guard. And yeah, I'll go for Swift Guard to turn the form around with Gilo Goldust here. I think there might be a little bit of trouble at the bend, and he can snip round in front and go on to win. But I think it's a really decent final. I really do. I think it's a good race.
Joe, looking at the 640 final. Again, another very, very good race. I mean, this is more than a £500 open race final, I would suggest. Who do you fancy?
It's a really decent race. It looks like Cold as Ice has turned the corner since being stepped up to 6 bends. You know, he broke the clock, his first ever run over 640 at Newcastle, and followed it up, beating Corlovani Bani 4 lengths the week after. I questioned his 4-bend form last week, but he done it really well after being chopped off at the 2nd bend, and you can take this off the front here. He's been in the best form he's ever been in, and there's no reason why the form with Corlovani Bani, Velvet Juliet and Skywalker Bonnie will be turned here, as he's beat all of them comfortably over track and trip recently. So yeah, it'd be Cold as Ice for me. He's running out of his skin at the minute and seems to be getting better and better.
Paul, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Cold as Ice. The fact that he's showing pace to the turn. It's only a short run to the turn, isn't it, over the 640? But he's won back-to-back efforts, 21st of April and the 28th of April. The first of those breaking the track record, and has already beaten Corlovani Bani as well. I mean, there is a scenario where if she smashes out on the inside Corlovani Bani, she could turn the form round. But as I say, I think Cold as Ice, if he breaks with the field, I think he's going to take a hell of a beating. Velvet Juliet's a bit of class, but I think she's been held by the 2 grounds I just mentioned. Skywalker Bonnie's probably held by the red as well, and I think the outside pair for Michael Walsh have got plenty on there. There'll be big prices, but it would be nice for Jimmy Fenwick. You know, he's had the little bit of a disappointment with Ice on Fire, and Cold as Ice is definitely going the right way and looks a 6-bend dog of the future.
Yeah, when I was chatting to Jimmy about Ice on Fire, and we talked about Cold as Ice, and he was saying that he thought the dog had lost his confidence, and then he got put over the trip, got on the bunny a couple of times, and looked like a new greyhound. The other thing that I noticed, having watched the Sunderland final and saw how Corlovani Bani on the inside made Blue Tick George work and still couldn't get past her. But this is a slightly tougher trip, I would have thought, for her to hold off Cold as Ice. But I bet you'll. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see her really making work for it, though.
No, I think so. Yeah, I think she's a class bitch. Corlovani Bani. Obviously, I know the owner, Mark McLaughlin, really, really well, and I've always thought a lot of the bitch. I mean, she's very, very versatile as well. So she's got that kind of 4-bend speed, Floyd. So I think with a short run to the bend, that's quite important, isn't it? In that you've got a deal of trapping ability, you can get to the front, and I think although it's over a 6-bend trip, it's still a nice place to be.
So to conclude this particular episode, I asked the gentleman to, in amongst all the minor opens on there, we're not going through them in any detail, but I've asked them both to put their necks on the line and pick something that's basically going to pay for a night out for us all for next week. So Joe, straight into you. Who will we dealing with?
The nap on the card is 7:58, trap 6, Glenara Mac. Easter Cup semi-finalist, Northern Flat semi-finalist, was desperate last week, went turning very handy in a decent race behind Kelly Phantom and takes a massive drop in class here. He's shown plenty of early speed in with Havana Class and Mingler's Popeye, who battered him at the bend. And he just needs to come away here and he'll win. I think he's capable of 28.40 with a clear run. And he can show his class here in what's a decent maiden. But he looks an absolute certainty to me. So Glenlara Max the Nap, 7.58, trap 6.
So, Paul, you're in the hot seat now. Who are we going with?
8.27. It's one of the maidens over the standard 480 metre trip. I've gone for Tullivin Alfie in the 8.27. Gary Carmichael's greyhound did get bowled over and fell, but showed no ill effects with a really nice. And I like the fact that Tullivin Alfie's had a solo over the sprint, and the 16.95 is good enough, but got a 28.50 trial on the card, got 28.70 wins as well in A1 company. Potent touch for Angela has got some kind of a squeeze on leadability factor, but I think Tullivin Alfie, although he's not a great breaker necessarily, he's got all sorts of speed thereafter, and I'm pretty sure he'll take the 8.27.